back in the day at Olympia. And Miss Patsy Jones, she was an elementary teacher at Westridge. So if we can keep the Walker, Lennon, and Jones family in your prayers this evening, that would be greatly appreciated.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can I have somebody move the agenda to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Sawicki, seconded by Ms. Farmer. Any corrections, additions, or deletions to the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of the agenda? That passes 9-0. Student leader comments, Arcadia Middle School, welcome.
It's all set for you. Is this on? All right.
My name is Kanai, and I'm in 7th grade.
My name's Jada, and I'm in 8th grade.
My name's Arda, and I'm in 8th grade.
My name's Sophia, and I'm in 7th grade.
My name's Lily, and I'm in 7th grade.
My name is Megan Norton. I am the 7th grade, one of the 7th grade AVID elective teachers.
My name is Stephanie Glad. I'm one of the 8th grade AVID elective teachers.
What is AVID? AVID is family. AVID is a class designed to help us succeed in the present and in the future, make us feel connected to school, prepare us for challenges, and helps us learn to solve problems, makes us the best version of ourselves, and makes us college and career ready.
What do we do in AVID? AVID curriculum strategy work to be used in all classes. Study skills, note-taking, time management, goal setting, collaboration, writing skills, research skills, team building activities, and public speaking skills. Student-focused study groups like tutorials, specific content areas, career and college readiness activities.
What do you like best about AVID? My favorite thing about AVID is college field trips because we get to see different colleges and we get to learn more about the colleges and like programs that are in the colleges too.
How?
What did you want to do about your best?
Oh, okay. One thing I like best about AVID is the team building Fridays.
One of my favorite activities is fishbowl speeches because we get to debate and argue about certain things.
What I like best about AVID is the community service because it means I get to help my community in a better way.
One of my favorite things about AVID is the college research because we get to learn about different colleges that we want to go to.
How has AVID changed your life? I have transformed from a student who struggled in 6th grade to a student who is enrolled in living environment and will have 2 high school credits before I leave middle school.
AVID has changed my life in a lot of ways. It has made me a better student and even a better person. It helps me both inside and outside of school.
AVID has changed the way I think and learn. AVID has changed me from an avid 6th grader who struggled into a thriving 7th grader who is getting an honor roll with distinction. It has changed me forever in an awesome way.
AVID has changed my life by helping me understand my classes more and has significantly helped my grades.
AVID has changed my life because in the beginning I never thought of going to college, but AVID has changed my mind. I decided to go to an HBCU.
How do you use AVID strategies? AVID skills such as organization, time management, public speaking, problem solving, note-taking, responsibility, and relationship building help us to be successful in all of our academic classes.
So I'm going to say right here that this is our second year with having officially have Avid in our building. So our 8th graders, they had the 7th grade elective last year, and then our 7th grade, that's their first time through it as well.
So as a building, we've decided to spread Avid strategies across to all content areas. One thing, as an elective teacher, we design different lessons that we take to other classes and use those to spread those Avid strategies. We also use career and college readiness lessons in different OTH classes to spread it to other students that would not normally get it in Avid class. We also have led professional development during staff meeting times in order to spread those strategies. And lastly, we just started having homeroom lessons about college and career-ready activities to get all students on board with Avid.
What are your hopes for the future? My hope is to be successful in the things that I pursue and to continue using Avid strategies to get into college.
My goal is to use Avid to get into college and become a pediatric anesthesiologist.
My hopes for the future are to go to Monroe Community College and become a nurse.
My plans for the future are to get into a college and get my degree in nursing and help millions everywhere starting now. I am taking every chance I can, and I am closer to my dreams than ever with Avid.
My hopes are to become a vet because I'm really interested in animals, and I'm also interested in sports management.
Here are Arcadia Middle, some of our Avid 7th grade and 8th grade students.
I'd like to thank you guys for coming, and I'm going to have you come up and do a picture with the entire board, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Picture time.
Over here. Or up there? Up there. Over there. Okay, in the middle. In the middle. In the middle.
Is it okay if the parents get the picture too?
Yeah. Oh, I'm just like.
Yes.
Yes, why not?
Yes, yes.
Why say
Mr. Long, why don't you get in the picture? We got Mr. Richardson. Thank you guys for sharing. Appreciate it, Mr. Long. Now if we could have Arcadia High School come down. You guys, if you can,
We're good.
oh, we got something special. Oh, we didn't run it through,
I apologize for that,
Uh-oh.
Mr. President.
Mr. Hilbert, you're taking liberties here, I see.
Well, thank you for allowing us to take some liberties. My name is Mr. Hilberger. I am a math teacher at Arcadia High School, and I'm also, I joke and I say I'm the executive producer of Titan TV. So I'm going to turn it over to my partner here.
I am Carrie Lynn Herbst, and I am a phys ed teacher at Arcadia High School, as well as the mentor staff leader.
So we're going to get out of the way and let them do their thing.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ryan Maloney with Titan TV on site at the Grace Central School District Boardroom to talk about some exciting things at Arcadia High School. I am here with a good friend and co-host, Riley Werner.
Well, Riley, there's a lot going on over at Arcadia. A lot of people have been have been working hard all year to build a better Titan community. Every day, the whole building starts its day with Home Base. During Home Base, the Titan TV crew produces a live stream morning show, kind of our version of the Today Show. We have a crew of about 15 students who participate in a variety of ways to make sure the school community knows what's going on around Titan territory.
Now, let's go over to Katie for a little more information on Titan TV.
First, I want to thank Mr. Hilberger, Ms. Preston, and Ms. Herbst for making this all possible. Katie, can you tell us a little bit more about what type of segments run on Titan TV?
Again, hi, I'm Katie. I'm a senior, and I am one half of another pair of co-hosts of Titan TV. So we run all types of segments on Titan TV. This past month of February was Black History Month, so we highlighted a famous Black American every day. We also do segments to highlight the amazing things going on in our Titan community, like sports, club, and special announcements. We try to learn and teach about current events and ideas, and then, of course, we have our funny entertainment segments every once in a while.
Now, Katie, I've also heard we've done some special shows. Can you tell us what that's all about?
Yes, we have. We try to do our special shows on major holidays. We have a Pi Day episode coming up, which 2 of our best math teachers are hosting. Last year, on the last day of school, we did a live show from a home base full of students, and we've done May the 4th, Stranger Things Day, and back in December, we did our 1-year anniversary episode, and everyone really seemed to like that one.
Sounds cool. Thank you, Katie. Now back to Riley and Riley.
One of those groups are the student mentors. Seeing as you're a mentor, Riley, why don't you give us a little overview of the student mentor group?
The Student Mentor Group consists of 15 to 20 students, grades 10 through 12. We plan games and other fun and engaging activities to do with students. For example, we have played 2 truths and 1 lie. The purpose of this game is to generate conversation and start building relationships between everyone in the building, such as staff and students. Mr. William Maloney, my grandpa, has agreed to play this game with you all tonight. So, I'm going to embarrass him a little bit here, but I'm allowed to do that. So, we are going to play 2 truths and 1 lie. So, I'm going to name all 3, and I'm going to call out if you think 1's a lie, 2's a lie, or 3's a lie, and you're going to raise your hand, and then I'm going to tell you which one's the lie at the end. So 1 is he's been skydiving as a kid. 2, he was on multiple cruises in the past year. And 3, during a Chicago Bears game, my dad and uncles and him were watching the Bears game, and they screamed so loud that their pet bird died. So, raise your hand if 1's skydiving. 1 is, yeah. All right. Number 2, he has been on multiple cruises. And number 3, during a Bears game, my grandpa and my uncle and my dad screamed so loud that the bird died. Number 1 is the lie. Number 3 is very true.
I'm going to hear from Peter now.
Thank you, Riley. We're now going to throw it over to Katie, who is with one of our building mentors, Brett Lawson, who is going to share a little bit more information with you on the mentor program.
As Riley just said, one of the groups working hard to build community at Arcadia is the Student Mentors. I'm here with one of the amazing mentors, Brett Lawson. Brett, can you tell us a little bit more about mentors and the SEL connection you guys have been working on?
Well, Mentors started out as a group for freshman orientation, but now this year, we're looking to take our work a step further. The mentors team up in pairs and go into classrooms on Tuesdays during CAT. We plan activities that get the students talking and engaging on a social level, like Riley did with Mr. Maloney's Two Truths and a Lie. The activities we created and use are based off the 5 social emotional learning competencies: self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. It's pretty cool when we're playing Uno or creating a story activity and we hear our students talk about their I statements and Positive Vibe Friday experience. Another cool thing is that we've been working with student government too, helping develop them as a community and work with them to take action and follow through with their amazing ideas. These are all wins for our building.
I have also participated in the building SEL lessons once a month this school year. Can you tell us a little bit about those and how do mentors play a role?
Well, mentors have been helping teachers with materials as well as pointers for the lessons. We as mentors get a sneak peek at our lessons prior to the building and give student feedback to make the lesson more engaging and relevant. For example, last month, the initial essential question was a little too wordy and we didn't understand or see a connection to the lesson. The mentors help reword it and establish a more student-centered focus. We also are more active participants in these lessons to engage students and have them share their ideas throughout the lesson.
So what are your end goals for the lesson?
Our initial goals were to create positive social interactions among all the students in the school, in the Titan community. We have learned that this is a process and definitely will take some time, but being able to work each week in CATS shows us that our work is important. Seeing small gestures of kindness and empathy around the school is proof we are making a positive impact among the lives of the students.
Thank you, Brett, for that update, and now back to Riley Squared.
As we have all seen, the Titan community is pretty incredible. We try to keep students as involved as possible, and these are two great ways of doing so. And we know that we're making a difference, no matter how small.
We are so grateful to have this opportunity to come and speak with you all. Again, I'm Riley Werner, and alongside me is Riley Maloney.
And we have mentioned with the Titan TV part that there is a joke of the day, so Riley would like to share a joke with you all.
Why do ducks have feathers? To cover their butt quacks.
That's all we have for you tonight. Remember to be kind and go Titans.
Thank you guys so much. If you guys could come up and do a picture with your advisors and Mrs. Warwisniak and the board.
I vote we have them back again because that's the most fun we've had at a board meeting in like 5 years.
Is he on the agenda?
Right? Who gave him the mic?
Yeah, we can't let that happen. All right. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's really tough to, yeah, I'm up next and there's no way. Yeah. But this is a really amazing, before I read this. We have a couple staffs here tonight. Craig Hill, if you guys don't mind standing up. I'm going to make you stand up for this. And Longridge, if you guys can all stand up for me. This is one of my favorite jobs, being board president, is to be able to recognize great things we're doing in our school district. So I'm going to read this. The New York State Education Department has recently released the 23-24 Every Student Succeeds Act accountability designations. Accountability designations are given to schools who are determined to be in need of additional support based on multiple indicators, including New York State test results, graduation rate, and chronic absenteeism. This year's list contains major celebrations for our district. Two of our formerly designated schools, Longridge and Craig Hill. Yep, exactly. Longridge Craig will no longer carry any support designation in the 23-24 school year. That's an amazing accomplishment. We, as a school district and a Board of Education, are very proud of this accomplishment, and it was done with years of great effort by the school staff and our school and district leaders. So please join me in congratulating both the schools, Longridge and Craig Hill, and their principals, Principal Brandon Jones from Craig Hill and Principal Kelly Latman from Longridge. Thank you very much. You guys, it's to be applauded. And I'm going to make you guys do a picture, too.
Get our steps in.
I'm trying to keep Mrs. Farmer's blood pressure down. Oh, your phone, okay.
I'm just saying, I just wish he would have.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to shut it. That's no fun, don't you think? Next up, Mr. Furlett. Where is Mr. Furlett? I thought, oh, there he is. I knew he was in here. Now you have a really tough road to hoe, Al.
Do you have a joke?
I don't have any jokes and I don't have any supporting cast, but congratulations, Arcadia. What an awesome school, and the kids and the staff over there. So couldn't be more happy for them. So good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight and share some of the great things that GTA members have been working on lately. First off, I'd like to report that our annual Stuff-A-Bus food drive was a success with over 1,400 pounds of food and $1,000 collected for the Greece Ecumenical Food Shelf. It's just one small example of how our members continue to give back to the community beyond our day-to-day instruction. I want to also take this opportunity to share with you an exciting program that we have for our students looking to pursue vocations in education. 2 years ago, the GTA was awarded the NYSET's Take a Look at Teaching, Grow Your Own grant. NYSET's Take a Look at Teaching, Grow Your Own grant is funded by the National Education Association Great Public Schools Fund and is an extension of NYSET's Take a Look at Teaching initiative that began in 2017 to increase the number of students and career changers entering the profession, elevate the teaching profession and professional and public discourse, and expand community partnerships in order to enhance teacher recruitment and support aspiring and early career educators. We currently have 2 talent clubs, one at Arcadia and one at Athena High, with hopes of expanding to other high schools next year. Under the advisors Gina Relier and Michelle Skamaka, students have visited college campuses, volunteered, and worked on local projects to promote teaching as a career. With the growing teacher shortage, having a program like this that encourages our own students to come back to Greece and help the community through a career in education offers hope for our future. We welcome any opportunities the board may have to expand our community partnerships and get the word out about this great program. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. Gassa? I don't see Mike. Ferris? Mark, anybody? All right. All right, moving on. Can I have someone move staffing to the table, please? Moved by Vice President Moore, second by Mr. Maloney. Any comments, questions, concerns on staffing? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 9-0. Moving on to the tenure. Can I have someone move the tenure to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Swicki, seconded by Ms. Flores. Any comments, questions, concerns on tenure? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 9-0. Moving on to athletics update. Superintendent Groutman.
Yes, as we bring our winter season to a close, we thought it would be a nice time and opportunity to bring Mr. Lapani and Mr. Istis
here to give us an update in terms of where we are with athletics. We haven't heard from you in a while. Welcome.
Good evening. We were here about a year ago presenting.
My apologies, Mr. Richardson. That was like very rude of me. Like,
We're actually here to acknowledge how well dressed Mr. Lopati.
all right. He's wearing a very nice suit. I did notice.
It is.
Yes.
Very sharp. Who's your tailor?
So a year ago, we rolled out our challenges and our priorities. And our two main priorities continue, which is increasing our participation numbers. And you're going to hear about some wonderful opportunities that we're expanding upon after listening to our students and our coaches in our community. And you can see how our fall numbers and fall participation numbers have increased just from a year ago, with about 40 more students participating in fall sports than last year. And then the second main priority is promoting positive character and sportsmanship. This continues to be a major initiative, and working with our students to represent Greece, themselves, and their families in the best positive way at all times. So I'm going to turn it over to Ray and Tony.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for having us this evening. And Ray and I and Dave and our whole team have been working extremely hard throughout this season to make sure that we are emphasizing how important academic eligibility is and performance in the classroom. Last year at this time, when we had our end of the marking period data, when we tracked that, we had a 27% increase of students not being ineligible, which was substantial. And a lot of that is because our students worked with some individuals after school to get their grades to a point where they need to be. And, you know, our kids understand the policy. The policy is being implemented with fidelity, not only by Mr. Issis and myself, but our TOSAs as well. And we're continuing to make that our primary emphasis with our student athletes. Specific to sportsmanship, and I wanted to hit this, you know, this is so important. And one of the things that Ray and I work on daily with our coaches and our student athletes is understanding how to compete and how to control and self-regulate their emotions during a contest. And the best example that I can share with you, Greece Athena High School played West Ironquoit High School in varsity basketball and JV basketball 4 times this year. That doesn't happen too often during the season. If any of you attended the championship game the other evening, our students performed in a manner that was so respectful. You saw mutual respect on the floor between both groups of students. And, you know, when you play each other 4 times, it's very easy to develop a negative approach to playing an opponent. We were so proud of our student athletes and the way that they conducted themselves at the War Memorial, at the Blue Cross Arena. And I was, you know, just really, you know, really struck by how our students conducted themselves, to the point where shaking hands, it's difficult to watch a sectional trophy be handed to someone else, to the point where hugging other opponents after the game. So that was fantastic. I'm not going to click on the link, but you'll get this PowerPoint presentations. One of the issues around the country right now is treating officials with respect. And our coaches and our families, parents and guardians have all been informed on the push around the country, and specifically Section 5, and specifically Greece, on how to communicate effectively and efficiently with officials, okay? To the point where our kids are understanding that even a negative body gesture or any body language that's negative is not appropriate when you're on the floor. So those are some areas that we're improving on significantly. One last point. Curtis Birthright, our varsity girls Thunder basketball coach, and his team won the Sportsmanship Award this winter in the sport of girls basketball, which we were extremely proud of.
Just to continue on some of the highlights, Tony spoke about a lot of them already, which is great. One of the things that we did last August, we held our first ever modified parent informational meeting night, which was a big success. We had about 200 families there. We're going to continue that again this upcoming year, just to get the word out about some of our athletic opportunities that we have in the district. We continue our partnership with Next Level Strength and Conditioning. It's been fantastic, working with strength and conditioning coaches with all of our programs at the modified JV and varsity level. Also continuing our Rochester Regional Health Athletic Training Partnership has been a big success, and they've done great things for our student athletes and for our families. And also, we are continuing to increase participation numbers. As Dave mentioned earlier, we saw an increase from this past fall. And promoting a lot of the good through social media, through different announcements among school, has really been some of the highlights that we've hit upon. Tony had mentioned sportsmanship as being one of our highlights and really things that we're looking towards. The proof is in the pudding. Our DQs are reduced this year. At this time last year, we had 8. This year, we only have 6. Section 5 currently has 97 to date. That's an increase from last year, but we've seen hours in the district decrease, which is a telltale sign what we're doing so far is correct. Tony mentioned a little bit about the ineligibility decreasing down by 27% with our academic eligibility for our student athletes, which means we're moving in the right direction. Some of our pilot programs, something that we're really excited about are different opportunities. We're listening to stakeholders, seeing what people want within each school community, and really trying to provide that for them. At Olympia and Odyssey, we saw an increased need for track and field. We had 54 participants this past winter as a pilot program to try it out to see if it worked, and it did. This spring, we're piloting girls flag football at Arcadia and Athena to see if it works. So far, everything's looking great. We have over 90 participants at both schools. Definitely a fantastic start for Women's History Month. We're piloting a boys JV golf team at Olympia and Odyssey. Something that we've seen and we've heard is how to get more people and more young students involved in golf. And also, we are piloting a new late bus this spring, specifically at Odyssey for all of our modified athletes. We're hoping that's going to help move the needle, increase participation specifically at Odyssey. We want to see if it works, and then we could pilot it and potentially do it in the future at all 4 high schools. This summer, we have a great opportunity that we're working on that will be released soon. We have 46 different athletic sports camps, 16 at the youth level, that's first grade through 5th grade, and then 30 at the middle and high school level. Last year, we offered about 20 camps total, so this year we're going to have about 46. We're really targeting the youth, really trying to get more students involved at the youth level.
So the excitement around flag football really stemmed from the students, and it was interesting throughout the course of it. The excitement started last year when the students heard that Section 5 was piloting a program sponsored by the New York State Public High School Athletic Association, and our kids immediately started popping in and out of our offices. Are we going to do it this year? Are we going to do it this year? We're like, hey, pump the brakes. It's going to take us a little time. And our kids just kept coming. And when that happens, you have to seize the moment and listen to student voice, and we did that. So for both interest meetings, we had, as Ray stated, we had over 90 students show up to the interest meetings, and both of our head coaches, Matt Lipinski at Greece Arcadia and Coach Bruner at Greece Athena, have already started with the students in the gymnasium, teaching the students the sport of football, and the kids are consistently starting to show up. Now we're getting about 35 to 40 every time, so we've dropped a little bit from 50, but that's expected. The really neat things, all the games will be 7-on-7, so it's not regular 11-on-11 football, it's 7-on-7 football. We try to keep as many players as possible on the teams, and our goal is not to make any cuts this year because we want our students, if we're going to start a new program, we want them to embrace it, and we want some of the younger kids, and this is grades 9 through 12, we want our younger student athletes to start growing along the way and building and developing the skills. The field size is reduced. It's a 40 by 80 yard field, and that what we'll do with that is we will cone off the field for the students, so it's a little bit shorter of a field. The turf fields will be utilized by our student athletes. The footballs are a little smaller. They're the modified size football. And the Buffalo Bills actually are supporting Section 5 and Section 6. They sent us the belts, which are the official NFL belts, which are extremely expensive. Thankfully, they sent them. And we were able to take advantage of that opportunity from the Buffalo Bills. Our first day of practice is March 27th. First scrimmage is April 13th. There's a coaching clinic at Highmark Stadium in which the students, both students from both schools are invited, and the coaches and the students will be going to Buffalo to work with the Bills staff to learn about the game of football. The first game's on the 24th, and sectionals are after Memorial Day. And interestingly, this year there's a regional championship. If we in Greece, or Section 5, have success, we will compete against Section 6. And then next year, the New York State Public High School Athletic Association will have a state championship. Briefly, just to take a look at their schedules, this is not a powder puff situation. This is you hear the term powder puff football. This isn't powder puff football. This is the sport of football. And you can see there's an 8-game schedule with sectionals to be determined. The first week of June, there's the Arcadia schedule. You'll note that Arcadia and Athena play each other on the 24th. That'll be under the lights for the kids. And then we also have the Athena schedule as well. Around Section 5, we have about 9 teams in Monroe County League participating in it, and that's where we are with the football piece. Grease All Sports Boosters. We had our second meeting last week. It was a very well-attended meeting. We had about 20 individuals there. Megan was there with us. Thank you very much for joining. And it was a really, really bright start to the conversation about how we can increase participation in Greece with our Sports Boosters program. You know, I give credit to the individuals that are currently running the Sports Boosters and concession stands. They commit their time, they volunteer their time, but unfortunately, the participation has dwindled, and COVID hurt that as well. So we're making an attempt to unify our Sports Boosters, have a Grease All Sports Boosters as in the umbrella organization, and also we're still going to maintain all 4 schools booster clubs, which will be under the umbrella organization. And in addition to that, the piece that we're extremely excited about is really bringing our youth organizations to the table. That is something that we feel we're getting our youth organizations involved more heavily because they're the individuals that use our fields. More importantly, if we're going to build a sustainable model, we want to bring people along and teach them how to use the equipment in the concession stand, what the expectations are as a booster club member, and what are some of the things that we do.
So in closing and looking ahead, some key dates here for you. Spring sports start Monday. Signing day ceremony. We revamped that last year to include seniors going on to JUCO, junior colleges, Division III, as well as Division II and Division I. So you're invited to that. We'll have more formal invites as we get a little closer to June 8th. The Grease Athlete of the Year. Last year we revamped that a little bit. That's right here in this room. And we're also including a school's Hall of Fame induction. So last year we inducted several members into the Arcadia Hall of Fame. This year will be the Athena Hall of Fame, just going in alphabetical order. Next year will be Odyssey's Hall of Fame. And that's June 14th at 6:30 right here in this room. You heard us mention about the sports camps. There's going to be 46 opportunities for our students this summer. We continue to open our doors and our facilities to the community as well as the youth groups in utilizing our equipment as well, and promoting our youth clinics. Our partnerships with our youth groups continue to grow. They are very happy that they're utilizing our facilities. We love when we can host something for them to increase their participation in their groups as well. And then obviously looking into the fall sports start August 21st. Okay, so we'll open it up for questions.
Questions? Mr. Maloney.
Just a question about the sports camps. Now, that is individual sports, or is it a combined just a conditioning camp for all sports?
Yep, so at the youth level, 1st grade through 5th grade, we picked 16 different sports that we're going to be highlighting. It's basically 2 different camps per week for 8 weeks. So that way a family could have an opportunity to attend 1 different camp for 8 straight weeks, which is great. So, and then the middle school and high school, it depends on each individual team or school, it depends on what they want to run. Some of them are fitness-related camps, some of them are introductory sports, some of them are more advanced sports. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Farrar?
Well, I don't have too many questions because I did get to answer those all the other day attending the meeting, but I did want to pitch something out a little bit. As we were in the meeting talking about it, the concession stands, and I know that this was a problem for some. We're one Grease, one team, one vision. And my pitch to everyone be, I know that we may be looking for a capital gains project. It has been, I guess, put in my ear by birds here. Maybe we can do something with the concession stands. I heard Odyssey may have to be upgraded a tad, may help with the morale of the students, especially the teachers. So if we can do something like that, I know that there's probably many more things that we could do, but if that's something on the table, I would definitely like to see that. I know that we've been starting to up the sports. I know we're doing tennis, resurfacing the fields. I think this would be a great opportunity to, I guess, the morale, they feel like they're kind of left out. The sports, we have to combine teams, students going from one place to another, and it's not their home base. So give a little bit more of a uplift face might spark some more interest. So that would be my pitch, hopefully, after all that. You guys did a wonderful presentation the other night, so I appreciate it, being probably not the biggest sports fan on this block, but pretty close to it. So thank you very much for everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Ms. Farmer?
Thank you, guys. I just want to say that I remember, I think it might have been right before after, but we started talking about helping kids to be eligible within sports. You all initiated this whole after-school tutoring to get the kids to where they need to be so they can participate and be successful with their classes, as well as this sportsmanship, this respect that you all are carrying through. So we have academics, we have values, we have sports. This is so awesome that I'm hearing this 27% decrease in kids who aren't eligible on any given time. Huge. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Swicky?
So a comment and a question, right? So first comment on the youth camps. I think I mentioned this before. My daughter's in basketball 1, and she's been linked up with the high school girls basketball now, and it's such a great experience, right? They did like a full day camp, I want to say it was over the winter, right? And then they got invited to the game, right? And they got to run out in the tunnel, and like it's really cool, right? And yeah, for me, right, you can see at least my daughter, like she's ready to like sign up and play basketball on like a 12-year contract, right? But I guess my question on that, right? So I can see the basketball side. How are you doing that in the other programs? Is that in every sport you're doing that? How does that work out? I know in this case, right, we're kind of combining schools and makes sense, but can you just reflect on that a bit?
Sure. So you're spot on, and one of the areas that Ray and Dave and I, and working with Jeremy and Gina, we had there was a survey conducted last year, a district-wide survey, and the stakeholder voice was opportunities for our student athletes. In our community, and in many communities, parents simply can't afford to send students to camps. That's the reality. And we listened to that survey. We felt extremely, passionate about providing opportunities for our student athletes. So right now, our girls volleyball coaches there's 45 students that are signed up for our girls volleyball club. So we're starting to use the club model for our students. And what's nice about that is that our certified coaches are running these opportunities for students, and that's going to pay dividends in about 5 to 7 years. Those kids that are excelling at the highest level right now, when I say that, they're doing a lot of winning, okay, and they're having those phenomenal experiences. Our students, like your daughter, our students are hungry for that. So we are excited about that, and we're using that model in Greece to build that bridge, simply because our families deserve it.
Mr. Bonagoro?
So I want to congratulate you for the gains and in numbers and in the sportsmanship. That's all fantastic stuff. If I remember correctly, some girls may have brought to maybe your attention a desire to get a flag football going in the district. Glad to see that that's taking off. Are there other things that we're aware of, or how are we promoting other ideas to just generate more interest?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, one of the things that we're doing is the pilot programs that you've seen. We're listening to the needs of each individual schools and really addressing it as needed. So if we hear a lot of people coming in the athletic office talking about girls flag football, hey, can we put it together to start it? One of the things we've been talking about is boys volleyball for the fall. You know, so we're listening and we're hearing, and we want to put the structures in place to make sure, A, that we have enough people to participate, but also B, that we're not reducing participation in other sports to start a new sport. And that was one of the ideas with girls flag football, specifically with a lot of our spring sports, softball, lacrosse, track and field. We didn't want to hurt any of those other sports.
Thank you. Dr. Trawick?
So I just want to dole out a couple thank yous. Thank you for listening to the community. Thank you for listening to the fact that it is expensive to send your kids to camp. It really is. And, you know, you start getting emails in January, you know, and the cost is like, wow, especially if you have more than one child. So I am so happy we've been able to continue that. Number two, I wanted to say thank you specifically to both of you, Mr. Istis and Mr. Lapani, and Dave, you always do a great job, so hats off to you. But specifically to the two of you, I have, for remaining approachable to parents. Mr. Istis, you know, I had an issue with my son in soccer, and I'm so happy that you were someone that I could talk to and talk me off the ledge. And I appreciate that. But more recently, I heard from a parent, really just this weekend. I had coffee with a family who had had an issue with their child, and the father commented that he spoke to both you, Mr. Istis, and you, Mr. Lapani, and felt that both of his concerns were both heard and acted upon proactively to give him some tools moving forward. And I just want to say thank you. You know, oftentimes as a board member, you hear what the issues are, but you know, and they come to you for, okay, can you help me with a resolution? But in this case, it was a thank you, you know, to both of the athletic directors for just remaining open. I appreciate that. The community appreciates that. And as far as my question, it's just a clarifying question. It's interesting because there was a group of parents who had talked to me about having a bus for kids to be able to participate in sports, like a later bus. And it was just an idea. I just wanted to know, is that what this bus, this late modified sports bus, so that more kids can stay after school for practice and participate in sports?
Correct, yeah. Specifically at Odyssey, through a parent survey, we found out that transportation can be a barrier. So we're trying to take down all barriers, whether it's financial or whether it's transportation. Dave and the transportation department have jumped to help out with the 4:30 bus time after practices.
Great, thank you so much.
One last piece, Dr. Trawick, that I wanted to add, because we're listening, we're working hard right now to build spirit stores in each school. So our customers, our students, and our families can go online and shop. Now, it's a little pricey, but you can customize what you would like to order. One of the board meetings, I specifically remember you stating that. So Ray and I are working on that as well. And lastly, we want to thank all of you for your support. You know, putting these programs in place is not something that is cheap, and our students deserve it. And when you have kids that are excited about an opportunity, it's nice to be able to be responsive. So thank you all for your support.
I want to add one thing. So I was just recently at a New York State Superintendent Conference where there's, over 700 districts represented. And I will say that you will not find this across the state. And I think you'd be hard pressed to find it in most places across the country. So my point there is when we talk about the clubs that have been added and the work that is going into offering those at young ages, it's not found anywhere else. And I think that's important because it's really connected to our overall commitment to listening It's connected to our overall commitment around building partnerships with our community and the work that's come out of community schools. So I say that because it's all connected. Like when we're talking about and do presentations, this is very connected to the community schools work. It's very connected to parent exchanges and surveys that we're doing in terms of trying to truly listen. But ultimately, we have a long way to go with athletics, and we all know that. But the way that we're going to get there is being intentional and smart and strategic around starting to get kids those opportunities at young ages while simultaneously working on booster clubs and parent engagement, all of those things together. And I just appreciate your leadership, the three of you, and the work that's gone into really making that happen. And I know we have to be patient because a lot of this will take time, but your efforts are recognized and appreciated. So thank you.
Mr. Bonagario?
So one of the things that really resonates with me is the sportsmanship part of things. And I know we've got some themes that run throughout our district, in different facets of the district. But I'm wondering if there's anything that stands out to you that has helped to bring that kind of sportsmanship. And, you know, you talk about competitive situations that can easily create rivalries. Are there any things that stick out to you that might be brought back to the classrooms that's different than what we're already doing?
So part of what we do as administrators is not only are we teaching students, we're also teaching adults. And one of the things that we've emphasized with our coaches is the importance of practicing sportsmanship at practice. That's an easy concept to leave out, but the really good coaches put their students in situations to succeed when there's a potential for a conflict in an arena, all right? Our physical education and health program review is underway, and we're very targeted and focused on the SEL competencies and how we're going to be able to infuse those into the physical education and health curriculum. And physical education offers a wonderful environment to teach social emotional learning, specifically personal choice, personal self-regulation and awareness. And in that environment, and I know right now our work is ongoing with our physical education teachers, but in years to come, the same way that we're implementing our sportsmanship expectations with our coaches, we're also infusing the SEL expectations with our instructional leaders in the physical education and health area.
And I'll just finish up. I just want to echo what so many people on the board said this evening. You know, you guys increasing the participation, that's huge. That's been an issue in Greece Central for a long time, and you guys have really turned that around. The eligibility component, that was an area I think we were definitely lacking in as a school district, and you guys have really taken the bull by the horns there and really gotten our student athletes to help and got them to the level that they're at. And from a sportsmanship standpoint, I can honestly say I've heard so many positive things from people across this county when it comes to our sports teams, whether it's on the road, at home, the sportsmanship, it's been noted. I mean, by a lot of people, my colleagues in the county legislature, people around that I know that have kids playing sports, they've noticed that Greece schools, the sportsmanship is better, it's different, and we're one of the models, I guess, right now that everybody says. And I also hear part of that may be due to you, Mr. Lapani, and your sportsmanship speech you give before each season, I hear is pretty epic. So I'm going to have to sit in on one of those one of these days.
My goal's not to sweat.
And with that, I want to thank you guys. So maybe you can take the tie down, Tony, so you're not sweating so bad. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, Greece Central School District on-time graduation rate, Superintendent Krautman.
Yes, I'm going to invite Dr. Colicchio to come on up. We have graduation rates, which is funny because it is March, and it seems like an odd time to be talking about graduation rates. The thing I want to point out is we wait for the state in a lot of ways to get formal data. So there has been some data recently that's been unembargoed, so we're able to share it more freely. But it's an area that we're very proud of, that we work very hard on in terms of getting our kids to graduate, or our students to graduate. So Dr. Colicchio is going to take us through a presentation to understand what that data is telling us.
Well, it's probably not the most exciting topic of the evening, for sure.
But I'm really proud to have had Arcadia Middle and Arcadia High present this evening because I think it shows you what goes into an inclusive, comprehensive 6-12 programming. And you could just see the joy in the kids' faces and that they really love what they do and where they're doing it. So I'm going to try not to be too mundane. There are a lot of facts in here. There's a lot to be interpreted. It is not easy to understand how to graduate from high school in 4 years. On-time graduation is the term that they use because the expectation is that a student will complete high school within 4 years of when they began 9th grade. All right, I need a bigger podium. Earlier this month, we reported on the Greece Reach 2027 plan, which showed how we start tracking high school graduation beginning in 9th grade. Students actually start achieving 8th grade credits within 8th grade. Typically, their world language credit, sometimes a math and a science credit also are gained at that time. But again, it's a process that doesn't just begin in their senior year. We start right in 9th grade tracking this closely. Now, a lot has remained the same in terms of high school graduation. This page shows the basic courses that need to be completed within those 4 years, and I must say it hasn't changed much since I graduated in 1980-something. So this much hasn't changed. 22 credits, I will tell you, most of our students achieve well above 22 credits, but the 22 credits is a minimum. 4 years of English, 4 years of social studies, 3 years of science, 3 years of math, 1 credit in world language, often achieved in 8th grade, at the end of 8th grade, 1 credit in visual, music, dance, and/or theater, 2 credits of phys ed, but that's a half credit each year because the students attend phys ed every other day. That's why that seems low. Health, and then 3.5 electives of their choice. But again, many of our students go well beyond that. This is taken right from New York State's page. That's why it's kind of ugly. But again, it's the official documentation, and sometimes people question things, so I just wanted to give proof that this was in fact where it's coming from. I actually carry these charts around in my binder that I carry everywhere because it is complicated. Now, the exams are where it gets really complicated, and there's literally 8 pages that describe how you can receive a diploma in New York State. That's why you're seeing the Blue Ribbon Commission that has begun to look at different ways to make it a little less complicated. So this is kind of an overview. So the 22 credits the students have to maintain, and then they need 5 exams. Typically, it's an English exam, a math exam, a science exam, and a social studies exam that is a Regents. And then there is another Regents exam that must be passed as well, or an exam approved by New York State. But most of the students take advantage of the extra Regents exam. But then there's different diplomas, as you see at the top. Our goal is always for our students to receive a Regents diploma, but then there's also the Regents diploma with an appeal, the local diploma with an appeal, a local diploma for a student with disability, and an English language learner local diploma with appeal. But all count towards being a diploma within New York State. There's also the Regents diploma with advanced designation that some of our students get. We still have actually a large percentage of students who do get this. The advanced Regents requires the students to pass 2 additional Regents exams in math, 1 in science, as well as 1 additional sequence. And most of the students usually achieve this in world language, where they get an extra 2 credits of world language, the arts, or CTE. So the students have some freedom by which to gain a Regents with advanced designation. All right, so here come all my pretty charts. And some of us like to look at things in a chart format, some like to look at them in graphs, so I've provided both to you here. All of the graduation metrics that I will present tonight are gathered from the New York State School Report Card. That is a public-facing online report card that you can go to and look up any school within New York State and receive data that's drawn from the data warehouse. The overall on-time graduation rate for students who attend our 4 high schools, in other words, they attend Athena, Arcadia, Odyssey, or Olympia, is 92%. But you will also see online that the Greece Central School District graduation rate, which does not include private schools, also is include our students who attend programming at BOCES, Crestwood, Hillside, or other placements. These are typically very intricate students who haven't found success in our schools and need a higher level of oversight or support to pass. We typically have between 15 and 25 students a year that are in these such programs. Unfortunately, they only yield about a 20%, maybe 30% on-time graduation rate. Again, on time. It doesn't mean they don't graduate. They may need a little extra time and support to get there, but it speaks to the fact that we do a good job with our students within, and it's not always best to send them out and think you're going to get better results. What an interesting statistic that, when you see the Greece Central graduation rate posted, it will include these students, and it drops us from a 92% rate to a 90% rate. But an important statistic for you to be aware of, that 8% of the remaining 10% that did not graduate are still enrolled in our schools. Again, they haven't dropped out, but they may need a little time and support to get through the program. So as you can see when you look at the line graph here, or the circle graph, the line graph, there was a slight dip that we expected that was going to occur after COVID. And it's going to take us some time to level things out because, again, our seniors at the time of COVID, they were pretty close. That senior year, most of your tough stuff is done. But as we go further down the line, students experience more and more courses that they take. And again, in ninth grade is your fullest schedule, and it kind of lightens. So we may see a dip over time. But this also, too, was consistent with New York, many schools within New York State. The overall graduation rate in New York has been increasing, but if you see, it's considerably lower than Greece Central School District, so one would hope that theirs would go up as they take on different measures. This chart breaks it down by subgroup. You will notice that multiracial has NA on there for a few years because that is a new metric that New York State has started recording. You can find out why, when you look at it too, you'll see that it's one of the lowest within our district, and that is also consistent with the state. I think that's a reinforcement of our need for equity work, that our student of multiple races often will indicate that they have a hard time connecting, and that's an area by which requires a little bit more attention and understanding for us as a district. Our student with disabilities still continues to be an area where we struggle. You've seen our different presentations on that and the multiple efforts that are being made. ED represents economically disadvantaged students. ELL are English language learners. And also, okay, I think I hit it all. Yep. All right. Sorry, I went off my script. This chart I thought was very interesting to show a subgroup comparison between Greece Central School District. Again, this is both students in and outside of the district, or I'm sorry, in our 4 high schools and in other placements as compared to New York State. Within this, you'll see that Greece met or exceeded the graduation rate of 6 out of the 8 subgroups across New York State. And this success is greatly due to the fact that we do pay such attention to our equity work and we continually monitor all groups. We currently do not have the minimum required to measure American Indian or Indigenous students, so that's why you will not see that subgroup represented here. But over time, again, you'll see the increase and that our students in Greece outperform, by subgroup, outperform those across the state. All right. This type of graph may be really new to you, but it's interesting. This is what we call a scatter plot chart. And within it, we're comparing poverty rates, which is on the left side of the axes, across the bottom compared to graduation rates. And as you will see, as poverty decreases, that is why the line goes down, graduation rates increases. Okay? The gray line is the trend line that indicates a trend within this data set. So there is no surprise here as you look at it, that as poverty decreases, your graduation rate increases. So with that, you'll see that Greece is the red triangle, and we are represented, we are well above as compared to any other district, above the trend line, meaning we way outperform the trend. What's interesting here is that our poverty rate, I believe on this, was about 62%. And I don't know, can you see this? Okay. So with that 62% poverty rate, we should have fallen, if we followed the trend line, right here where my cursor is, which would have put us at about 82%. So currently, with our 92%, our 90% in district rate, we are exceeding the trend by about 8% in terms of our students. That's incredibly powerful. So even though we maybe have a lower graduation rate than these plots to our right, we are both more economically disadvantaged and out-achieving most of these to the left. So in other words, there are more affluent districts who are achieving at much lower rates than we are. This one I want you to pay notice to as well. The other district at 90%, notice their poverty rate. So again, they too had a 90% graduation rate. Their poverty rate is 32%, 30% lower than ours. Something to be celebrated for sure. So we are incredibly proud of the next two slides in Greece. It was funny because when I first started drawing up this presentation, I anticipated maybe a slide on why kids drop out of high school. And I went later on to add it in, and I said to myself, school districts that don't do these next two slides, or schools that don't do what's listed on these next slides, have high dropout rates. In other words, school districts that don't have high expectations with a high level of support, students drop out. We have that. You saw a lot of that tonight. Early college high school at Olympia is one such program. Our AVID program that you saw tonight is another. Our AP and dual enrollment coursework contributes to this, as well as our career pathways and CTE programming that we offer throughout the district. Again, we have students at Arcadia High School who come in at 7 o'clock, some of us have been there, bright and early, cheery-eyed, right? And are getting involved in broadcasting in a way they never thought they would. It's spectacular. That's CTE at its best. We also have a commitment to multiple opportunities for success, and that is something that you will find deeply in this district. If you fail, we get you back up and we try again. And we give you the support you need and help you with that. That is something that's deeply embedded in our core beliefs and our teachers' beliefs, our assistants, our secretaries. I've seen conversations. It's everywhere. We're not one and done, right? Academic boot camps, we call them, you'll see starting up. I giggle at a lot of this stuff as I watch other districts adopt even our language, as they pick up some of the strategies we've been using for years and have adopted. Even many of the things within the Rochester City School District were taken from Greece that they now do. So it's exciting. Our academic learning centers within some of our schools and our Twilight Academies, our alternative summer school, our BOCES summer school, and our exam prep programs are other such options that, again, show our commitment to multiple opportunities for success for students. Again, students who drop out often don't find a sense of self at school. We find it incredibly important to assist students in finding their sense of self at school. We respect who they are, where they come from, what they need. That's evident in our equity work, our mindfulness work, and our I forgot a letter. Sorry about that. And our social emotional learning work. Phoenix Academy is an example of an excellent example of that, as well as our interest-specific clubs. There's basically a club for anything you could find, and we get new proposals quite often, so we're excited about that. And again, where we can't seem to provide, we seek out partnerships. Again, collaboration and partnerships with our community schools, our food pantries, our clothing closets, Center for Youth, and Genesee Mental Health are some of the things that we offer. Now, some of you may be asking yourselves, how did I sit through a presentation where our 3.8 scores weren't the greatest, yet we have a high graduation rate? Ooh, I I need a bigger podium. Sorry, guys. Well, I'm going to say it out loud. You can't compare the two metrics, right? A 3/8 assessment is a one and done, maybe a 2-day and done now. Assessment where you get one shot and that's it. You're having a bad day? Too bad. You got a cold? Too bad. We're not going to give you multiple opportunities for success for that one because New York State doesn't allow it. However, it's a little different with Regents exams and graduation requirements. An important thing to note, I never get a call from parents about opting their student out of a Regents exam. It's ironic because it's a standardized test, right? But parents don't opt out because it's a graduation requirement. They can't. But typically, the demographic of students who do refuse or opt out of state assessments are students who would have passed those state assessments. So when you look at our overall passing rate, many of the students who would have passed are not included in those metrics. High school credit accrual occurs over a minimum of 5 years, again, begins in 8th grade, not a matter of hours like on a state assessment. High school opportunities, or high school courses and exams offer multiple opportunities for success. If you fail your driver's license, the bar exam, your medical boards, you may restudy, you may retake. The same holds true for Regents exams. That is not true of a 3/8 assessment. Again, competency is measured by multiple means to pass a course, not just bubble tests. Even our Regents exams, now they're great. They used to be all multiple choice exams. Some of us sat through. There's multiple ways where they gather information. There's some short answer, long answer, multiple choice. There's different means by which kids achieve on a state Regents exams. And if you don't like English and math, there's a lot of other courses that you can take in high school, like global history, Mr. Fleming. He picks on me because I pick on social studies. So again, students typically can find something they're a little bit more interested in, which they may not necessarily love English and math for the 3/8 assessments. One thing that communities often don't think about is the economic impact of having a high number of dropouts within your community. And all the statistics below are taken right from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and they're powerful. So if you drop out of high school, you have a 47% higher chance of being unemployed. You earn approximately $572 less a month than students with a high school diploma. I'm not saying with a college degree, but with a high school diploma, okay? That's significant. 75% of crimes are committed by dropouts. 80% of incarcerated males are high school dropouts. Lastly, high school dropouts often don't leave the community of the high school they attended. Or I often say, and I'll say it again, high school dropouts often don't leave the community of the school that failed them. That is the cycle of poverty. They stay, they have to stay, they often rely on their families because they have to stay close to where they were at, and they don't leave. That is why it has been our moral imperative for the town of Greece and as school officials to make sure that we do everything possible to give students what they need to graduate. Because again, it impacts the community well beyond the time that they stay with us. So I'm ready for questions. Do note that there's 8 ways to get a diploma. And if any of you ask me the questions about if I get a 55 on this and a 74 on that one, which does exist, trust me, you can trade exams and scores and things like that, I'm going to have to get back to you via email. So questions?
Mr. Maloney.
It's more or less a comment. I had some great nieces and nephews who've gone through the program, an AVID program to begin. One's a registered nurse and the other 2 are in college getting great grades, and all I can say is they got a great education here at Greece.
One of the things the students didn't mention about AVID is it's for kids in the academic middle. They take C students and make them A students. And I've watched that program be implemented in an urban district, a rural district, and here in Greece. And I find it to be the most powerful program that exists. It's fantastic.
Dr. Sherwick.
I'm going to preface this by saying I have a couple questions, but I will just do one at a time. All right. So first, I want to say thank you. This has been like, you guys have listened so well. And I don't mean that condescending. I mean, thank you. Thank you for thinking outside of the box and how you presented this information to us today. The questions that I would have had were answered, although I am going to come back. I do have some things. However, I did want to make a comment on the students opting out of the exam. When you said that, that spoke my language. Because, so my daughter is in 8th grade, but we opted out of the 3rd grade exams for her because of her anxiety. She just, is just one of those kids that struggles. However, she is a high honor roll student. She is, National Junior Honor Society. And she probably, like you said, would have been one of those students who would have done well. But just the idea of sitting for that test was just so traumatic for her. So we opted out. And I never even thought about like how students opting out might skew our numbers and how we look at this data. So I wanted to share that. When you said that, I'm like, that's my child. That's what happened, so she was part of that. So I do appreciate that. Thank you for showing us what are the nuances that skew the data or make it look worse than it, could potentially be. So that's it for now.
Thank you. Mr. Bonagoro?
I'd actually like to follow up on that. Can you give me a sense of what percentage of students would opt out? Because I'm wondering, what is the value that remains in the 3 to 8 standardized testing? What do we glean from that if we've got, you get the question.
And again, I can't stand and give you statistics. I know last year it was about 9%. But other years, we were at 50%. We had hundreds and hundreds of students that have opted out over time. It's significant. And again, it became politicized with the teacher evaluation system. And again, many teacher kids, there was interesting trends that went along with that. And again, it doesn't give you complete data. And often conversations that I had with parents too was to be really careful with that, because when students opt out over years and then in 8th grade have to take a Regents exam, they're not necessarily prepared for that environment. So there's other implications to refusing state assessments as well. But they do impact passing rates, so much so that they've made it a state metric that you could be cited on if you have a high opt-out rate. Luckily, we've been close. We've shown improvement over time through different efforts. But it does negatively impact performance scores, for sure.
Ms. Farah?
Yes, thank you. I apologize, I have a lot, but I'm going to try and get this to correlate together and connect. What I didn't see, which concerns me, is what are the actual GPA averages that these students are graduating with? And I'm going to connect that with equitable grading. We've seen over time, a lot of people have come out, and that can misconstrue a lot of numbers. And I say that because it's been shown to me that if a student takes a test, they've got 10 questions, and they clearly have 2 questions wrong, or give an answer, say it's a yes and no, and they put yes and no. And it's a 10 out of 10, and they get a 10 out of 10. Can you explain how equitable grading can also affect the graduation rates that we have? Because if a student is actually looking as if they are an A student and they're really not, but they're getting the grades that they are, and they're really a C student, that can also manipulate these charts and graphs that we have to misconstrue the numbers of where the graduation rates. I mean, yes, they all graduated, so kudos to that, but could we be doing more for that, which will then also correlate to the literacy. So I know I'm putting a lot in there.
Sure.
So a couple of things I'd say is New York State has established, depending if you're a student with a disability or not, different grading ranges. So some students can pass a Regents exam with a 55 and some need a 65, depending on where you stand. But there's metrics and Regents exams are only one part, GPAs are the other. And GPAs attend to multiple measures. But I think the most important metric about what you're saying is opportunities that we provide kids. The state doesn't look at what GPAs are of kids passing. We've just met the requirements and the standards of New York State, either through the Regents exam or the approved curriculum that we need to follow. I think a really important metric to look at for us is the College and Career Readiness Index that we discussed on the REACH 2027, that our students have more opportunities. We score a 4 out of 4 points under ESSA designation for that, because we offer our students such a wide variety of courses and opportunities by which to be successful. Okay. Thank you.
Vice President Lamar?
I'm wondering about the assessments. Are they all electronic now?
You know what's unique is they still haven't gone to Regents exams that are electronic.
Really?
And they keep pushing it out, pushing it out, pushing it out. So we got the babies ready on the 3-8 exams.
So the young ones do it?
The young ones do, and we are doing something unique. We made a district decision with AP exams this year. College Board gave us the opportunity for students either to take their exams on paper or electronically. We are doing both.
Okay.
And I found that incredibly powerful because I sat in an incredibly skilled teacher's classroom last year at Odyssey Academy, where she was literally teaching the kids how to write on paper again.
Of course, that's why I'm
And my
asking.
own
Yes,
children
yes.
will complain about their hands hurting because they don't write long essays anymore. But they're saying that Regents exams are going to move to that mode. They just haven't gotten there. And I will tell you, teachers love the electronic mode because it's much easier to score. It runs quick.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? I know Dr. Treyok, you have another one?
Yes, I do. In terms of the categories, I was just wondering, can you be in 2 categories at once? So like, can you, be, say, Asian and also in the category of English second language learner?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
That one you can. If you have multiple races, and again, that could be any combination. If a family designates or indicates that their child is of 2 different races, that will be under multiracial. But you could be multiracial, student with disability, ELL, economically disadvantaged. You could ring them all. Most of them. So there's multiple ways to get there, for sure.
Mr. Bonagario?
Thanks. Back to the 3-8 exams. I take that that's what underlies our iReady. Is that accurate, or would it be different assessments, grades 3 to 8?
What I'm referring to is the New York State 3-8 scores.
Okay. And that still covers grades 3 to 8? Is that,
Yes.
I'm understanding that correctly?
New York
Okay.
State 3-8 exam.
Okay. So I guess I'll shift the way I'm going to ask this question. I'm aware of reading achievement and how Greece scores relative to other communities in the county. And it's not great. You look at, say, the east side, significantly higher scores, say and this is based on what the state reports for National Assessment of Educational Progress. I'm wondering,
I'm going to cut you off, Mr. Bonagario. Can you tie this to it's a
Yeah.
different topic than the graduation. We're putting Dr. Clickio a little bit on the spot because she's not prepared to talk
okay.
about the 3-8
Yeah.
assessment.
I'll ask can I ask the question, and if you want to get back to me, that's fine. What I'm trying to understand, I guess, so we have a lot of students who opt out, and that's what we're saying skews the data. And I'm wondering why we've got a high percentage of graduates. We compare very well across the county in that regard. but on those standardized tests, we don't. So is
Right.
it because there's more emotional distress here, or, I guess I'm just trying to understand that.
I guess the only answer I could give you is a personal one. I'm somebody with 3 college degrees who didn't do probably pretty great on my 3rd grade assessment. Nobody asked me that when I graduated. I was a very successful high school student who was involved, got decent grades. So in the end, it worked out, right? My 3rd grade scores may not have been so great, but it worked out okay. So again,
Although we know that where you place at 3rd, 4th grade is very predictive of how well you do.
actually, the metric that most determines the success that you will have is your credits at 9th grade. And that's why we truly,
I would also loop back to page 12, because you addressed that pretty clearly in
Sure.
terms of the drop, or the opt-out rate is a piece, but then a lot of the other points that you made are also why there's a difference in terms of those outcomes.
Yep.
And I would also recognize our 3.8 reading and math scores are not where they need to be. And that
Absolutely.
there's plenty of work to do
Absolutely.
there. But it's sort of considering and thinking about, what is bringing us more success in terms of the graduation rate, and how might we be able to translate that. But I appreciate the work that's been done to get kids to graduate, for sure.
Mrs. Flores?
Thank you very much for the work that you did in putting this presentation together. There's a lot of information, and like Dr. Trewick said, a lot of my questions were answered before we even started our question session, so thank you. I am curious, we do a lot of data. We pull a lot of data for a lot of information. So in our striving to increase our graduation rates, do different things, especially looking at how the poverty level is increasing in Greece and that. Have we started to do data and collect it based on our programs such as community schools and AVID? They're so new.
Right.
It would be very difficult now to be able to see what the impact is, but I would expect down the road, it will show a very clear pattern of what the impact is of those types of programs on our students who may be economically disadvantaged. I'm curious, with that data, is there discussion, and I apologize for my lack of knowledge on this, of the state taking a look at that and maybe from a funding standpoint or such, reimbursing schools who do participate in those particular types of programs and provide additional funding to allow us to continue to increase those rates in that
Right.
with our schools and our students?
I would say that even though we're always striving to do better, we do so well in a lot of areas that we don't qualify for the funding that you will see in other school districts, right? Our students of color do so well that we have yet to qualify for a My Brother's Keeper grant. Not that we wouldn't use it and use it well and have great results, we don't qualify. Back to your point, just because I know this because it was new, we do have AVID data that recently that we gathered that students in AVID were less likely to be failing a course at this time than students who were not in AVID. And I know that the Community Schools Group is going through a program evaluation right now where they're finding that data to be incredibly helpful and positive to its impact on our schools, our students, our families, our teachers, because they're not having to provide basic needs to students where they were before. And just having school be a safe place for students to come and be successful, which again, the whole community benefits from, whether you're a student or not.
Any other questions? Dr. Trewick?
So I was debating about asking this question, but I can't shake it, so I'm going to ask it. In terms of, the poverty issue that we're talking about and some of the things we have in place to kind of to help in those areas. You mentioned Genesee Mental Health. What do they provide for us? I'm just, how does that, I understand the community schools, food pantry, clothing closets, and the Center for Youth, but just specifically, what do they do for us to kind of help?
I'm not an expert on this, but they provide counseling services for both students and I believe their families.
Okay.
I do know sometimes families are very private and they may not want the school counselor knowing so much about their child, and families have the right to that. So they provide services where we may not be able to. Again, we're often stuck doing so much mandated services through students who have it on their IEPs that we can't get to the families that may benefit from others.
I would just add for clarification, Genesee Mental Health is providing counseling. School counselors provide support to students to be successful in school, but they're not providing like therapy to students. Where Genesee Mental Health is a different level and type of support, and it's done right on school campus with our partnership. We have them in every school, which is, again, another unique piece that we do to support students here in Greece that a lot of districts don't.
Do families pay for that?
I think it's all through insurance.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else? Ms. Farah?
Yes, I know we touched base with this a little bit last week with the 4%. This is on page 2. And we said that the 4% was a state requirement, and that's why it was in there. Is there any reason that we're not, as a district, trying to reach, say, 10% over the next 5 years? Is it an unreachable goal for us? Because I know you said that it was 4%. I just think that, why aren't we striving a little higher?
Sure, because the higher up you get, if we were a district that, say, was performing at the rate, I think it was,
Probably shouldn't mention.
no, but again, if we were performing at where that trend line said that we should fall, and we had a graduation rate of 80%, moving at 4% would be a big move, but it wouldn't be insurmountable. When you're in the 90s and you're trying to get to 94, it's tough. It's really tough. Because again, it's such a small group of kids, with intense needs, again, the closer you get to 100, the harder it is to move a percent, and that goes for almost anything in life.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Dr. Colicchio.
Thank you.
Moving on, item 5.01, the 23-24 bus replacement purchase resolution. Can I have someone move that to the table, please? Moved by Ms. Farmer, seconded by Dr. Chaywick. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all in favor? That passes 9-0. Moving on to the Toshiba copier approval. Can I have someone move that to the table, please? Moved by Vice President Malor, seconded by Mrs. Farmer. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Ms. Farah?
Just a quick question. I see that there's a lot of copiers. Is this a contract that we normally do to replace all of them? I can't imagine they all went down.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions? All right,
Just a clarification on that.
sure.
It's half.
Half, okay.
Next year, there'll be another bunch of
Half.
copiers that will come up as well.
All right, with that, any other questions? All those in favor? That passes 9-0. The Jewel Settlement Agreement. Can I have someone move that to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Swicky, seconded by Ms. Flores. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Mr. Maloney?
The settlement agreement is a lawsuit, partly, from what I understand, is where we're going to receive funds from cash settlement out of the case. That money that we receive, will that go into the general fund, or will that money be set aside for something else?
It will be set aside for vaping and
So
yeah, there's another term.
it's pretty unrestricted, but we have agreed we're going to ensure that it goes to support substance abuse prevention efforts.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's a settlement right against Jewel because of the way that they've targeted youth. I'm proud that we got in early on that settlement, or on that lawsuit. A lot of districts did not, and I don't understand why. There was some work associated with that, but to get that kind of money, we'll put it to good use to support our kids in terms of prevention.
Yeah, the price of the settlement was for almost $250,000.
Yep.
So,
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 9-0. Moving on to anticipated bids. It's written information only. Does anybody have any questions? Seeing none, moving on to the consent agenda. Can I have somebody move the consent agenda to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Swicky, seconded by Mrs. Flores. Any comments, questions, or concerns on the consent agenda? I'm just going to thank the Athena High School Extra Classroom Fund for their donation for the prom DJ and photo booth. and for donations to Anastasia the Musical, and also to Athena Middle School, easy for me to say. Terra Science and Education, they donated money for STEM research by students in the amount of $500, and the Greece Teachers Community Program donated $81.83 to community schools. With that, all those in favor of the consent agenda? That passes 9-0. Moving on to board member comments. Do any board members have any comments? Oh, we'll start with Ms. Farmer.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Alejandro, who spoke first today. He reminded me of my own middle child, who, as a teacher, I'm like, why isn't my daughter learning how to read? She's in 3rd grade. We have all these statistics that you're talking about. What's happening? She was in a private school. Circumstances changed. She ended up in a public school. She is now a senior manager, making more money than me and my husband put together at 38 years old. So I hear what you're saying regarding that 3rd, 4th grade issue. Maybe we can talk more about that at another time. I love the idea of the tapping and the rhythm sticks and drums to connect sounds and letters with kids being able to read. I also want to talk a little bit about the monthly meetings that you spoke about. So whether we agree or disagree, there's something called sunshine laws. So for us as a whole body to get together once a month, it's not something that we could legally do, but as you heard last time that we met, there were some of us that were meeting with a couple, maybe just one board member, a couple, 3 different times, so that, as I've said a million times, is a welcome pursuit. I also want to talk about this whole idea of us serving as volunteers. And the time that I know is invested by each of us, but I also know that the time that is invested by the officers of the school board are probably twice that, 3 times that on any given week. So this is an extremely serious, respectful, important way for us as community members to give back to our community. I like the idea of having more dialogue, having more conversation. Don't ever hesitate to send an email. And I think there's something else, but I can't think of it right now. I took a bunch of notes, but I don't see nothing. I don't see that here. All right, thank you. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Mrs. Farmer. Mr. Maloney?
Yes, I'd just like to thank the children that were here tonight. I'd like to thank the children that were here tonight. They did such a great job in presenting their forum. And I know that goes on in almost every school. And it's just, I'm just so proud of them all. That's all I have.
Thanks, Mr. Maloney. Mr. Bonagario?
I'll echo that. They were great, and it's every meeting that we have students come, it's neat to see them, see what they do, and they're proud of it, and we're proud of them. I will echo Mrs. Farmer's comments about willingness to engage that in some kind of community dialogue. As I said last week, it was last week, I appreciate, Mrs. Farmer, that you initiated that process with a group of us. I didn't think it was appropriate for me to be in that spot following the election. Things have changed in the circumstances of who might be involved, and I'd be happy to do that. So I extend that to you and to one, maybe 2 other board members who might be interested. I'll make myself available to engage with our community. It'd be great.
Could switch up.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Bonagario. Dr. Haywick?
I also wanted to just echo some of the sentiments. The children did an amazing job. I thought that they were so remarkable. So thank you to all of them. Also wanted to, again, congratulate Long Ridge Elementary and Craig Hill Elementary for being taken off of the New York State list. I had mentioned to Superintendent Groutman as we were walking back to our seats, I remember when Long Ridge, the two administrators at Long Ridge, had to come before the board to explain that they were on the list and why they were on the list, and the administrators serving at the time got very choked up that they were on the list, and I remember there were some board member comments saying to them, it's not your failure. You are dealing with some heavy issues. So today was just a great 360 moment of how we might start off in one place, but we end up somewhere really great. So once again, kudos to Long Ridge and Craig Hill for job well done. I also wanted to comment on the programming that went forward for February during Black History Month. I am particularly excited because there were schools where I got to walk in and I saw my picture on the wall because I am Black History. I am the only African American on the board, but that has ever been on the board, and I never take that lightly. I understand that I stand on the shoulders of many to be here, and not just people of color, but people of all races that voted me in. And I appreciate that, and I am thankful for that, and I appreciate the schools that found it, who, put me on the wall to say, here's one of ours. So thank you so much. But also, just another thing that I really loved about the programming is it highlighted African American achievements within America. Oftentimes we think that it's, some people think that it's separate, but it was talking about the contributions of African Americans to make America great. And I was at one particular event, and there were little children in the audience of diverse races. And when some of the inventions and contributions came up on the screen, you heard the little kids say, "Wow, oh my goodness." And that did it for me. At the end of the day, it takes a lot of people to make something great, including this country of America. So I think that Greece Central did a wonderful job in honoring those achievements, and I hope to see it carried on throughout our curriculum for all. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Tralick. Ms. Farah?
Yes, I just wanted to give a shout out. I had opportunity to go to the snowball dance at Olympia this weekend, and the morale was very high. It was nice to see the students got to collaborate with each other. The outfits, the men, they were very distinguished. They definitely had, it going on. The girls, you could tell they had their hair all done. Although I know we were short on a lot of things during the pandemic, but I didn't know fabric was one of them. So.
Supply chain.
Yes, supply chain. I want to thank Bonnie Schneck. Is that how you say the last name? She had 33 years of service, and she just recently retired. I want to also thank the guest speakers tonight. They did a wonderful job. The students, it's remarkable to see these children actually thrive. We have a lot of work ahead of ourselves, and we will get there. Trust us. So thank you. Also, last, the parent participation for the hiring and recruitment and parent training. I'm not sure what that is, but I am going to be doing that, and so I'm hopeful to see what's going on with that. I think that that's going to be huge for the district. So again, I thank everybody, and it was a great night tonight.
Thanks, Ms. Farah. Ms. Flores?
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who is part of this school district in one way or another, whether you are an employee of the district or you volunteer, whether you're a parent that might support the boosters or such. We talk a lot about data and graduation rates and test scores and such, but I look back sometimes now at the people that I went to school with who may not have been great students, and they have turned out to be amazing people. That measurement is different for everybody. And I'm really excited about the programs. We hear about athletics. We hear about the summer clubs that we're going to be able to offer. Mark Hilberger came in with Titan TV today with the students who were very enthusiastic about the way that they're able to do something different other than the education that they're getting, which is extremely important. And I think as a public school, we will always have work to do because we will always face different challenges. But what I really think is important is Greece as a whole is really offering this district and its students an experience that they choose, not that they're forced to do, and they have so many choices. And things like the dance, there are so many people within this district that are committed to offering those students the chances for these different things and different experiences, regardless of their race, regardless of their economic level. And I'm really just very proud to be part of a district who extends itself out in so many different ways and continues to try to evolve with the students, with the community as things change, and really just be very committed no matter what it looks like. So thank you to everybody.
Thanks, Ms. Flores. Vice President Moore?
I want to mention first one of the people we mentioned in memoriam, Lou Lennon, who was a teacher and an administrator in Greece. Over 60 years ago, he was one of the founding members of the credit union that's now called the Greece Community Federal Credit Union, but it used to be the Teachers Credit Union, and it had a location in several buildings over the years in Greece. And they did this amazing thing where you could have part of your paycheck automatically go into your savings account, which was unheard of at the time. So a credit to him and those founding fathers of the credit union. He will be missed. Those of you who know me, the world is alive with the sound of music because it's theater time in Greece. Had the opportunity to go see Into the Woods at Olympia, but the Odyssey show, and it was fantastic, and I just love seeing the kids in their costumes and singing. This weekend, we have the Addams Family at Arcadia. Wanted to let you know that the tickets are $12, student tickets are only $5, and a child can go free with a parent. So those of you who have younger students or younger children, give them the opportunity to see a musical. You know, it could change them like it changed me. I won't sing from the Pirates of Penzance, but I wasn't. Anyway, and thank you for the presentations. They were great today.
Thanks, Vice President Moore. It's my turn. A couple things. I had the pleasure today to read in Miss Bruin's fourth grade class at Lakeshore and got to plant tomato seeds and basil seeds for their garden. It was absolutely amazing. So it was a great time. And also a shout out to our Responding to Emergencies program. The first graduate from the Responding to Emergencies program just got hired as a career firefighter in the town of Greece, which I think is an awesome thing. And I'm super excited to see that. And with Women's History Month, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about several women that are super important to me, who I cherish working with. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Trawick. You kind of took a little bit of my thunder with, I was going to, as a woman of history, in Greece Central, the first woman of color to serve on this board. I love serving with you. I love your passion. I love what you bring. You're caring for the community. It's truly appreciated. Mrs. Farmer, I love your insight from being a former educator. I love what you bring to the board. We haven't always seen eye to eye, and I appreciate that about you. I appreciate the mutual respect. I appreciate what you do every day for children and what you've done in your entire life for children across this community, whether it was in the city of Rochester or now in Greece Central. I truly appreciate that, and I love working with you. Mrs. Flores, you don't say a lot, but when you speak, your insight is amazing. You bring a very unique perspective, which I truly appreciate and value deeply. Mrs. Farah, you're new to the board this year, and I truly appreciate your passion. You're jumping in with both feet, being ready to learn, being ready to, take on challenges, ask questions. It's truly remarkable to work with you. I'm looking forward to working with you for a longer period of time. We'll see what happens, but I truly appreciate what you've brought to the Board of Education.
Thank you.
Vice President Malloy, you probably have the biggest chore in the world dealing with me. You are my great sounding board. I truly appreciate our friendship. I appreciate what you've helped me to do, that you listen to me, you let me rant on occasion. and you're like a second mother to me. I truly value our friendship. I truly value, don't cry, because then I'll cry. You know, it's this old man thing. I'm gonna start to cry.
Mother's Day,
So,
I'm thinking.
Yeah, Mother's Day. I'll give you something. We'll see. But I truly appreciate everything you do for our students and the amount of hours out of any of the 9 of us on the board, the number of hours you put in the schools was absolutely phenomenal. And I truly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Debbie, I'm not gonna leave you out.
Oh,
Debbie, you keep me in line all the time. You keep me organized. Your reminders. I couldn't do the job that I do without your help and without your backing. You are truly an amazing woman. I'm so glad I've gotten to work the last several years with you. I hope to continue that moving forward, but you are truly my rock behind the scenes every day. Superintendent Groutman. She's like my sister. We've grown up together. I mean, Kathy is an amazing woman. I have learned so much from Superintendent Groutman. She makes me a better person every single day. She's taught me an amazing amount of things. She's made me look at things differently. I mean, sometimes I'm a little stubborn, and she's given me a slap or two, a time or two, but I truly appreciate what you do. I don't know how you do the hours you do in this community for our students, for our families, for our schools. You are a treasure. I mean, like I said to you a little bit earlier in our meeting, you're a unicorn. I mean, Greece Central, at some point in the future, is truly going to miss you, and you're going to be almost impossible to replace. So with that, I want to conclude my comments recognizing all these amazing women I work with every day. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your service, and thank you for what you give to this community. With that, you're up, Superintendent Groutman.
Thank you. That was on my list. And I don't have individual
You're going to
comments.
call
but
yourself a unicorn?
No. What I wanted to point out is just to say and recognize and say Happy Women's History Month and point out that we are now in Greece Central, a board that's dominated by women.
Yes.
In a profession that's dominated by women and who cares deeply for children in our community and does amazing things every single day. So I'm very, very proud to stand with you and work for you and represent this district. So thank you for that. I also want to point out and just give some thanks to Dr. Payne and Kelly Sperduto. We recently were able to secure a community schools COSER with BOCES. Most people hear those words and have no idea really what that means. And I promise not to go on long, but to be able to do this through BOCES requires a great deal of work. So there's a ton of work and planning and meetings and advocacy that goes on. But to be able to have community schools be represented as a COSER does a couple of things. One is it makes that support and service available to others, not just Greece. And it also is a way to make it more affordable because it's a way that we can bring aid back. So a lot of the work that we've been doing and that we've been taking out of pocket and using general fund for, we can do more efficiently using a COSER like this. So I say that because we are always being fiscally responsible and really thinking about that relative to our community and the pocketbook of our taxpayers. But the lion's share of that work in terms of getting it started and getting it accessible and making sure that BOCES got behind us with that was done by you, by Kelly, by Janine, like folks in our system that really went above and beyond to make that happen. So thank you for that. There's a lot about that people will never really understand. And then my last piece is I just wanted to say thank you to the people that were part of the parent exchange last week. And I want to point out just something that was talked about at the parent exchange. So a theme that came out tonight is the idea of listening and the importance of listening. And we've also tried to be better about making sure that when we act and respond, that we're linking the two things. So a point that got brought up this past week that I heard loud and clear was transitions in our district. So what got talked about by several parents was this 5 to 6 transition from 5th grade to 6th grade. And what was really like very profound and actually pretty emotional was different parents who shared about the struggles that their students were having. But my point in even bringing that up was we were listening. And I can't fix that with a magic wand in a day, but I can say that is something that we can do some things to help with making that transition smoother or supporting kids and families in different ways. And that's something that I know I'm bringing back to our team. Every time we're on a parent exchange, we come back to our team, we talk about it, and then we actually consider and think about what actions we can take to make that situation better. So I know that that's something that's on my list. And I just want to make sure as parents participate that they know that we are listening and that things are being done. So thanks to all in terms of making that happen, and then to the parents who felt comfortable with sharing. And I hope everybody has a great rest of the week.
Thanks, Superintendent Grumman. Mr. Maloney? That works for me. Can I get a second? Mrs. Flores, all those in favor? That passes 9-0. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. See you in a couple weeks.